actually the kind of machines they use are not sophisticated one. They are just they use, first of all, they use thermometer to check the
Check the
temperature of
temperature.
individual.
Yeah.
Understand? Because these people are not, some of the cross places do not have some of the resources that are necessary to do all of this testing. You understand? So they basically do what we call looking at the sign and symptom, because every infectious disease have their sign and symptom,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
these health personnel are taught to understand these sign and symptom. So
Uh,
if you observe these sign and symptoms on individuals and you realize they possess some of those conditions, that's the time you will take another action to make sure that they are adequately taken care of.
okay. Well, in your what you said, you made mention of the signs and symptoms.
Okay.
So, like, what are some of the signs and symptoms that will make someone, or that will make the health personnel to detect that you are having the disease?
Yeah, so every disease have its own signs and symptoms.
Yeah.
So in public health, we have a disease that we call public health important. You understand? So these are basically some of the diseases that public health officers focus on. So if individual is coming into the country, these are some of the diseases that they look at. You
Yeah.
understand? So first of them, we have yellow fever,
Yeah.
you have COVID-19, you have Ebola, you have measles, rubella, and you also have polio and the like. So
Yeah.
these are some of the disease conditions that they look at,
Mm.
and each of these disease conditions have their specific sign and symptom. You
Yeah.
understand? So, but generally, these are some of the diseases that they look
Well,
at the cross-border ends.
okay. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Madam Singare, what did you have on that?
What can you put on that? What can you also put on that?
Okay, basically, my boss have said it all truthfully, and what he said, contact tracing. I would like to
Okay.
buttress on that. Um, contact tracing is very important because if one part public health, our aim is not to cure people, but
Yeah.
to prevent the entire community.
Yeah. Yeah.
If one person is sick in the community, we don't just check on how to help the person to recover from that sickness,
Yeah.
but we will help the people person, looking at the community, how can we help the community by helping this person to recover from this sickness. So when you have an infectious disease in the community,
Yeah.
you are isolated because you might transfer it to other people.
Yeah.
Your close contact, people that are surrounding you, maybe
You
your family and people you travel with, they will be how do I call
affected. Yeah.
we will trace them to see whether they have it. So most of your
Your
closest
close
contacts
relatives.
will be quarantined to
Yeah.
see for the incubation period
Yeah.
because they have been exposed to that disease. So they have been exposed. So we will I we
You
will this
you will try by all means to discover whether the person is having it or not. Those are the
they
close
will be
relatives.
quarantined for
Yeah.
the incubation period of a disease
Yeah.
because the period of being exposed to the infectious agent before you manifest the signs,
Okay.
there is a
Okay.
period. So during that period is when the quarantine is done.
Is that
But
okay?
you can during that time also some people will manifest the symptoms, but the quarantine will continue.
Okay.
And also even if the period of
Ends.
even if the period ends
Okay.
and then you do not develop any signs and symptoms, you will be tested
You'll be
to
tested again.
confirm.
Confirm.
Yeah, even because the signs and symptoms are not enough to confirm that you do not have a particular disease.
Okay.
If you are left with that infectious agent in you, you can go back to the community and infect everyone around you.
That's fine.
So
Yeah.
That's
So
fine.
just to add on to that, the points he is trying to make is,
Yes.
a wonderful point.
Okay.
Like when you look at some of these disease conditions, individuals respond to them differently.
Okay.
You might understand that a certain disease, an individual will possess all the signs and symptoms, but other person might not actually possess all the signs and symptoms.
Okay.
And at some point, up to an extent, an individual might not present any of the signs and symptoms at all.
Okay.
So those individuals are what we call asymptomatic in nature. So
Okay.
these are infectious individuals who do not possess or who do not present
So now,
any sign and
if you
symptoms.
if you if you look in that aspect,
Mhm.
so now like what period do you guys kept those people, and is there any specific location or
Mhm.
place that you kept those people for those for that particular period of time?
Actually,
Mhm,
in our country here, the
mhm,
Gambia,
mhm.
we do not have any specific place
Oh,
that is allocated for quarantine services.
okay,
So during the pandemic COVID-19,
okay.
the country was using other resources, the likes of hotels and
Hotels.
the likes to quarantine individual. You understand?
Okay.
But actually, we do not have any quarantine
So
centers
now,
at the crossing places.
let me say now. Okay, let's use now the airport.
Hmm.
Now, let me say if some passengers
Hmm.
alight, let me say here or arrive.
Hmm.
So now, if you happen to check or detect those people and like you see their body temperature is not normal,
Hmm.
so now meaning you guys take them, do you guys host them at the airport, or you take them or you refer them to another places?
Yeah, so basically what is done is
Mhm.
most of these public health officers that are at these crossing places,
Okay.
you will understand that the health station or the health centers
Mhm.
will either be in that community or a close community. You
Okay.
understand? This is to bridge the gap of some of these conditions.
Okay.
So, and these public health officers are always, in touch with these health centers.
Health
So
centers.
if
Okay.
they are to find any issue like that on
Mhm.
board, they will make sure that the issue is referred to the health center immediately
Because
to make sure that it is well taken care
because
of.
when you look at that aspect,
Hmm.
taking people that you are not sure of,
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
having one or two, three things or symptom signs that you saw
Hmm.
on that individual, take them to an hotel
Hmm.
where you have a lot of people from different area, different angle. You host them there. So now, if those people now happen, let me say, if you detect and you see yes they are having, and you wanted to refer them to the nearest hospital or health center, because
Hmm.
as you alluded earlier that there is no specific place or part that you can be able to keep them. So now, if that happen, do you think you are also causing another more harm than good?
Here the concept is
Mhm,
it's not like the hotels are
mhm.
continuously being used for quarantine centers.
Okay,
It only happened during the time of the pandemic, that
okay,
is COVID-19.
okay,
You understand? So when COVID hit, hotels were the places being used,
okay,
and that time the hotels were strictly for quarantine services.
okay,
So no individual was lodging in the hotel. It was strictly for quarantine
okay.
services. Yeah. So after the pandemic, other places might be used when some of those conditions happen. But
Yes.
then the hotels were strictly for quarantine. No other individual will be left to lodge in that place. You
Oh,
understand?
okay.
To avoid
Yeah, yeah.
some of the cross contamination that you are talking of.
That
Yeah.
is a great and brilliant idea. But looking at how people have been isolated, like are they always packed in one place and treatment is being given to them or what?
Yeah, so that is the whole sense of isolation is to put them in a place where they will not be able to transmit some of these disease conditions. But again, it also depends on the setting.
Yeah.
You can be isolated in a place that perhaps you might be the only individual, or you'll not be much there. So you'll be a little bit free to do some of your activities. But the main important thing here is to prevent you from spreading those infectious agents. So you'll
Oh,
be
okay.
kept in a
That's
condition that you will not be able to spread this condition, but you will still be accessing some of your requirements or some of the things that you want to do also. Yeah.
okay. But looking at like how they are being isolated or they are being packed from one place,
Mhm.
do you think that like do they always detect some of the diseases in them? Because like for example, if I am packed in one place with my fellow friend, like that is having the same disease with me,
Mhm.
like if I am having another communicable disease that can be transferred, so don't you think there's a high probability that that disease might more will transfer to the other person because we are all packed in one place, and sometimes it will affect their mental health
Mhm.
because you've been sick and you have been isolated from your friends and the other things, the talks that they will say sometimes it will affect you mentally. So how do healthcare support those people that have been affected mentally because of the isolation?
Mhm. That point is very much important
Yeah.
because looking at quarantine services, just to put you through, some of these individuals that have been isolated are not put together. You understand?
Okay,
Every
yeah, yeah.
individual will be put in a separate setting.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
here
That is a good idea.
the goal is to prevent you from spreading this infection. So
Yeah.
it would not make sense if you are put together with another person that you can spread the disease to. So
Oh,
every
okay.
individual is put in a separate place. You understand?
Okay.
So
But
now coming down to your other aspect, which is mental health,
yeah.
definitely it's a tricky part
Yeah, it's
because
very
you know
tricky.